also emulating the methods of execution at the time of the trials. Witches were thrown off cliffs, hung, slowly crushed by rocks. Garcia, were you able to run a history yet of the Stoughton family tree?
And now it's crossed out in red, but I still can't forget if I wanted to. And it drives me insane, think I'm hearing your name.
Pattern and the branding mark has design characteristics similar to family crests from the late Middle Ages. I found the Encyclopedia of Heraldry, and look, check when and where he was a magistrate.
It's just all in my head.
He won't like the idea of her calling home. That phone call will probably drive a wedge between the two of them. And none of the motel guests saw anything.
Eddie's father died February 2nd. The average temperature in Chicago in February is 26 degrees Fahrenheit.
Moral vigilantism typically has its roots in repression. Moves quietly in the margins of conventional society. Is this sect run by a man named Herbert Sykes? 5 years ago, a teenage girl was found dead on the grounds of his compound. It was determined to be an honor killing of sorts. The girl was stoned to death.
Well, what that means is, geologically speaking, they don't belong up here. The rest of this canyon is tertiary rhyolite volcanics, which means the unsub must have brought these rocks with them. These are sedimentary conglomerates with rounded clasts. Probably been here before. Actually, less than 6% of salt in the United States is used for food. The vast majority of it goes for de-icing roads and snow control. Killer's been here before.
He got in the way somehow and had to be killed so the unsub could return to his preferred victim type. What is it?
How far apart are your contractions? The baby's coming now. And I need you to breathe deeply, okay? Tanner, you need to let her go. The stress isn't good for the baby. If Hannah doesn't start pushing now, we could lose the child. Guys, something's wrong. The umbilical cord's wrapped around the baby's throat. I need something to cut the cord with, quickly. Don't worry, Hannah, your baby's doing fine, but you need to keep pushing, okay? Avenue offers 3 different directions to head in lieu of this. So how did the unsub know Scotty was going to choose this particular one?
None of the victims lived near one another, but they were all killed downtown, which is where the unsub likes to operate. His area of control, while relatively small, includes a number of residential and commercial buildings. Factoring in a 3-mile radius in a city with a population of 636,479 over 48.28 miles, we're looking at approximately 39,549.23 people living in his comforts.
He was also a high school classmate of Lyle's. I haven't found a direct connection at the house yet.
We believe his kills are somehow rooted in revenge.
Must have followed them here, or the unsub found their location through some other means. How's he doing? To switch from male child victims to a female adult's highly unusual. Fathers could be the real target of the unsub's rage. Garcia, how did the mother die?
Not a surprise, we've seen how the internet has revolutionized the sex industry. It's taken it off the streets and allowed the women to control their own clientele. Only one victim, but he strangled her and then stabbed her. It could be an evolution. And the unsub figured out a way to use it to his advantage. You know, I hate to admit it, but the Star Chamber did an impressive job. Took the police file and annotated it with their own research. They think the silent partner committed the murders and let Russell take the fall for it. Well, that would mean that Russell admitted to 4 murders he didn't commit. Why not just cut a deal and name the partner? It just beats a death sentence. Okay, but how do we prove it? If we can't, we're no better than the Star Chamber. Now, this sounds similar to a cold case from 15 years ago. Frankie Clavin was 9 years old at the time. He never made it home from school one day, was found dead in the woods 36 hours later, 5 miles from his house. But they couldn't trace the phone calls because they kept bouncing between different payphones in the greater Memphis area.
But Scotty was still miles away from home.
Look at this, multiple spiral fractures on both arms. Cases of abuse with toddlers and young children, not someone Gavin's age. Were you able to determine if these injuries occurred before or after he was reported missing? If they didn't cause them, who did? Why not wait to make sure everything went as planned? I mean, what if something went wrong and the mission had to be aborted? How would the driver let him know inside?
Seeing the American father-immigrant-mother dynamic must have amplified his negative feelings about his own family, especially after Nadia Clavin committed suicide.
So it may have been a victim himself. Even with low ratings, probably 500,000 people saw it. If this is the same unsub, he definitely has a type. Same unsub, he must be using another child to make the prank phone calls. The original boy from 15 years ago would be grown up by now. was not the most credible source. She was in and out of rehab facilities for drug and alcohol abuse, died 6 months ago of an apparent drug overdose.
Lyle would have kept his secrets close to him, easy for him to have access to. Look at this.
He lied. It's testosterone. My uncle used to take this. If he was still taking it 10 years ago, it could have pushed him over the edge and caused him to beat Marianne to death. The driver drove off. He knew that Gavin wasn't planning on making it out of the diner alive. Someone's temporal bone. The discharge alone could cause a skull to shatter. Whoever did this wanted to make sure if he got caught, he'd never talk. Nobody made the connection? Oh, but he stuck around. Why? From an extreme case of Stockholm Syndrome. Much like Patty Hearst, who came to view the SLA as her new family and the rest of the world as adversaries. Do you hear that? It's coming from behind here. It's a secret hallway connected to his bedroom. Lita Taffert was inside.
All things considered, you're extraordinarily lucky. You know, it's interesting how much you can tell about a person by what they choose to read. This shelf, for instance, is devoted to Ayn Rand, Christopher Hitchens, Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris. You're an atheist.
We can't risk moving right now. We have to look at the baby here. I can see the head. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. When JJ was pregnant with Henry, I memorized the delivery manuals just in case she went into labor. What if Andy's wearing them? Which means he was most likely coaxed out by someone he knew. So if he wasn't lured out by one of his friends, who was it?
Charles doesn't sleep here. Look at this. He's taking testosterone just like his son. He and Tina aren't sleeping together, though. You know, Lyle's bottle was from 1991, and there were only a few pills taken. Lyle could have been taking them from his father. Unsub is not only dumping his victims downtown, he's hunting there, too. What'd you find?
Don't forget to subscribe, follow, like, and comments for updates.